Let's talk about the new legal team that Mike have at the Mick have at the moment.
Yeah.
How should we call it? Like Mick Peterson or Charles Bronson? What do you want to?
No, he was Michael Peterson.
Yeah.
When I got married to him, he turned into Charles Bronson after I got just after we got divorced. Because I sent a letter to him and asking for a divorce, and apparently he kicked off and wrecked all his cell, and that was the beginning. So I've been told. I've been sort of blamed for that, but it wasn't really me. But anyway, yeah. So after that, he turned into Charles Bronson, and then he changed his name again to Charles Salvador. But the thing is, I only know him by Mick. I mean, I didn't go to the prison and write to him in prison and meet this man called, you know, Charles Bronson. I mean, I knew him as Michael Peterson. He turned into that person after we got divorced. You see, so I still call him Mick. I'm the only person that calls him Mick. He doesn't like it if anybody else calls him Mick.
It's okay, let's call him Mick then.
Yeah.
So tell me about the new legal team. What are his chances to go free finally?
Oh, really, really great. Well, what happened to us is he's had different legal teams over the years. You know, it's been going on and on for years and years and years. He's been paying a bloody fortune. You know, from his art, he does all this art. So he's been paying so much money for all this legal team. And it's never got him anywhere. They've never done anything. Nothing at all for him. Nothing at all for him. So he sat them. He was really pissed off just before his last hearing. So he said, I'm sick of this. He said, I'm going to sack them all. And then he put a post up. Somebody put it up for him saying, does anybody know a good legal team for Mick? And then a good Facebook friend of mine and also Mick's messaged me on Facebook and said, oh, you want to get Sarah J. Cooper? She's from Liverpool and she's amazing. She'll get him off. She fights for the person. She's not like these that just say, oh, no, you got to go by this order or that order. You can't say that. You got to say to this. You know, she just fights for the people. Anyway, so I contacted her and she said, oh, yeah, she'd love to do it. But then there's a bit of a mix-up because I told Mick and other people have told Mick to do this. And we also told Richard Booth, who is Mick's business partner. He's in, sort of in control of everything like that. So he said, oh, yeah. He said, I'll let Mick know. But then we didn't know what was happening. And Mick can't ring me at the moment after a silly little row we had, a few months ago. And they've stopped us from ringing. So he's been trying to get me back on his call list, but this is a person that just messing him up. Anyway, this legal team, one of the solicitors phoned me up. Not Sarah J. Cooper gave her. It's dead complicated because we didn't really know what was going on. And I thought, who's this woman ringing me up? And she said, well, Sarah J. Cooper put me in touch with you. And I thought she was just like a Facebook friend. So I said, oh, yeah. And she said, well, we're in the new legal team for Mick, but Mick hasn't signed all the papers yet. So we can't be his legal team yet. And that was when his parole was due the first time in, I think, was it February or something like that?
18th of February, I believe.
And then she said to me, I'm also worried because she wrote to Mick and said who she was. And Mick sent her a postcard with his art on and said, who are you? Because he didn't know anything. But we knew, me and this other lady that's a good old family friend of Mick's, knew that he was having some visitors on the Friday morning with parole, but we didn't know who it was. But it turned out it was this new legal team.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's all sorted out now. But they're amazing. They're disgusted with the way he's been treated, basically. They're fighting tooth and nail. They're not shy. They're not going to say, the parole board say, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, that's it. They fight it. If they know it's wrong, they fight it. They are going to get him out, but it's not going to be just yet.
Where is the next parole hearing?
Pardon?
Where is the next parole hearing?
It's from, well, they haven't told him. But you see, the original parole hearing, the new legal teams postponed it because they weren't ready. Mick hadn't sent any forms back, so they couldn't start doing anything. All they could do was just go and see him. You see, so for their own good. So anyway, there was a meeting or something with the parole board, and that it went on all day. And the new legal team were sort of arguing with the parole board. The parole board saying the same old thing, no, 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 because they stopped him from having an oral hearing, or not even a proper parole hearing. So if you just have an ordinary hearing, which he's had for years and years, there's no speaking. You can't say nothing. Nobody else there, only the parole board. So when you go in, you know straight away they're going to say, refused. That's what's happened all these years. Refused.
So you can't even speak. You can't even.
No, that's what they've. Yeah.
Wow.
And the last one was like just over, nearly 4 years ago, and he fought to have an open hearing, which means anybody can. They go to the court and anybody can be there or speak about it, and it was bloody amazing. Everybody had psychiatrists. He had prison governors. He had so many different people saying he should be out. It's ridiculous. Now, the parole board didn't like that. They didn't like that. So they've banned all that now from him. Other people, murderers can get it. Murder people can go and have go and speak and everything. In fact, they're releasing a murderer from near me in Birkenhead. Well, I don't live in Birkenhead, but from Birkenhead. He murdered 2 people, a woman and a daughter. He cut them all up in pieces. He's hidden the mother's body, different pieces all over the place. And the family still don't know where that is, where it is. He won't tell them. And he's just got parole. You know, he got
hard
life.
To believe.
He's done 10 years, that's all, in prison. Mick's done 52. He's never murdered, never killed anyone. His crimes are inside the prison, retaliation to all his torture. You see, the prison don't let on what's going on. They're not going to say, oh, we did this, or we tortured this, or we did this, or we did that to Charles Bronson, so he's kicked off. They don't say that. They just say, oh, Charles Bronson's just kicked off again.
Wow. Why is that special treatment towards him? Why it's like because they put a target on his back? Yeah.
Yeah. They've tried to break him. I mean, they've tried to break him by the heavy mob. You see gangs of them, about 20 of them, they all go and beat him up at any time of the night or day. But he retaliates. They've never broken his soul, never broken his spirit. They can leave him. It's been left in the dark for, God, I think 25 years. He was left in the dark in
isolation,
the punishment block. Yeah. All he was a little tiny room, no bed to sleep in, jet black. No windows. All there was a flap in the door, and they used to throw the food through.
Did he told you that? Did he share that information with you? Did he told you that?
Oh, I know. Yeah, Mick's told me everything, but also there's lots of witnesses. But from the minute Mick first went inside, we were still together. But he was Michael Peterson. He started every time he wrote to me, he was saying, "Oh, Irene, so-and-so, somebody tried to attack him. This man came into his cell with a piece of glass in his hand." So he said, he just wanted to attack me. So I said, I'm not going to sit there and just let this black man come and bloody attack me with this shard of glass, wherever he got it from. I mean, I've never been to prison, but I know from what Mick's told me, it's bloody hell on earth. Mick's been in prisons that, not like, you don't watch television and walk around and go in the garden and like the MPs do if they go to prison. Mick is treated badly. He's locked in a very dark cell. No lights whatsoever. Doesn't speak to anybody for years and years. And if they take him if he travels to other prisons, because they don't like him to get too settled in one prison, he doesn't sit in a seat or anything with the prison officers to be transferred. He's shackled to the floor. He's flat out. He's lying flat out on his stomach, and that can go on for about 4 or 5 hour journey.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, I mean, it's disgusting. They don't want him out because they know that it's a government. It's a government thing. It's political. There's a member of parliament that does not want him out. He keeps stopping it.
One member of the parliament, one MP.
Well, there might be a couple of members of parliament, but they know they've badly treated him, and if he comes out, he's going to, Can
we tell their names or?
Yeah.
Can we tell their names of those members of the parliament who?
Oh no, we don't know. But there was somebody mentioned the last parole hearing. He would have got it. When it was an open one, and he,
Yeah.
and everybody was there, he would have got it. But there's one member of parliament that stopped it. But the name was known then, but I don't know. I'm not very good with names, but we know that. And every time he's due for a parole, they do everything they can to make him, as they say, kick off. They do whatever. They don't just say, "Oh, you got your parole hearing, how you doing?" or whatever. They'll do anything they can to make him kick off. And they don't like it because he's not been retaliating to all that lately. He's just been saying, "Oh, well, that's what they do to me. I'm just had to get used to it." But normally he would just retaliate and kick off.
I'm sure the prison guards don't like him a lot.
No, but I mean, in those, Mick's been in for over like 52. It's getting on for 50.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous knowing what's happening on the streets. And I'm from Luton myself. I live there. I know what's happening on the streets. It's a knife crime capital of England.
Yeah.
And I mean, to hold a person in prison for, he didn't murder anybody. He didn't kill anybody. It's
He's never
ridiculous.
killed anybody. He's never raped anybody. Yet the murderers out there chop people up. Not just one person they've murdered. Loads of people. It's because he's retaliated. He's not let them beat him. I mean, if he'd have just sat in his cell, he would have been, all sorts. He would have been dressed up as a woman. He would have had lipstick put on. He would have. You have to, if you go to prison. I mean, I don't know. I just, but you have to fight for yourself. You have to look after yourself. Otherwise, all the other prisoners, you've had it. You've had it. Even the wardens will rape you and wherever. It's disgusting. It's horrific.
You shouldn't show weakness. That's what you mean.
No, you have to fight, show that you're not. And Mick, I mean, at one point, just before our book came out, our book, Charles
yes,
Bronson,
we have it
Inside and
here,
Out.
guys.
Yeah, well worth reading. Also in audio, and everybody that buys the book, buy the audio as well, because it's the people the actors that speak in me and Mick's voice have got us spot on and our personalities. So it is dead good. Buy it. 5-star.
Definitely buy it, guys.
Yeah, 5-star. Anyway, what was I saying? Sorry. I got confused now.
We were talking about his experiences in prison, and you have to be tough to survive there, yeah?
Yeah. Well, when Mick was put in segregation, he's always in segregation, but different units and different prisons and whatever, he was in this segregation unit, and this bloke got in touch with me. I can't remember his name now, awful names. But he was, he'd also been in the same segregation unit as Mick at that time. He wasn't in prison anymore, and he's made a great life for himself and, whatever. But, I mean, this is just one of the times. And he used to say every night, he said it could be 1 o'clock in the morning after lights out and wherever. Got to be 2 o'clock in the morning. It might be 4 o'clock in the morning. You would never know. You'd hear the heavy mob, all the boots, coming down the corridors to the segregation unit, and they're all laughing and joking between themselves, saying, "I'm going to be the first one to get the first kick in. I'm going to be the first one." And they used to open Mick's cell and just beat the hell out of him. And all the blokes that were in the segregation unit, he told me this, they all used to bang on the cell doors and say, "Leave him alone, because all he could hear was kicks, thuds, this, him getting well beaten up. At one point, he was actually beaten so bad, he was in intensive care. They thought he was going to die, yeah. They actually thought he was going to die. But can I just say that those were in the first 25, 30 years of his imprisonment, because it changed. All they had these security guards, didn't they, or something, that took over the prisons.
Not really sure, to tell the truth.
They're all ex-army people,
okay,
or something. So they were bad, and they used to come to prison for work. And if they were pissed off the wives or something, Mick used to say, they used to just take it out on everybody, just kick hell out of them. But it was a heavy mob. I mean, there was never one or two. There was at least 12 12 men, these great big hobnail boots, just kicking hell out of him with wherever they had, weapons they had, all at once.
That movie that it came out with with Tom Hardy,
Yeah, but
Bronson.
that wasn't very good. It wasn't really true.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about the movie and
I
how
haven't
truthful
actually
it
watched
is?
it all
You
because
haven't.
no, because I've watched about 3/4 of it, but then it got a bit violent when he was being beaten up, and I can't watch that when you can see the heavy knob beating him
Yeah.
up. But they actually I don't know if it was that film or a documentary that we did, which was really really violent, and he sneaked. Somebody went to visit him before all this happened, and he actually, I don't know how he filmed it, but he filmed it. He actually was filmed being beaten up by all these people, and it was actually shown on one of the documentaries. It wasn't on till 11 o'clock at night because it was that bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
There are so many documentaries about his life. He's a fascinating character. How did you met him in the first place? That was in the 70s, I believe, right?
Oh, God knows. I don't know. I was 19, bloody 73 now, like Mick is. We're both, well, I'm 74 soon, so is Mick, but never mind. But yeah, I met him, actually, I met him in Little Sutton. No, it wasn't Little Sutton, it was Great Sutton. It was a pub called The Bull. One of my school friends, I knew her, but she wasn't like my best friend sort of thing. But she phoned me up. She said, "Oh, Irene," she said, "I'm desperate to see this group. It's they're playing on the Bull in Great Sutton." And she said, "Will you come with me?" Because her other friends couldn't go or something. So she's desperate. So I said, "Okay, I'll come with you then." So I went with her. So we went to Great Sutton. We walked in this pub. It's not like this now, because I went back to do a documentary. It's changed. It's like a biker's pub now. There's all motorbikes and bikers with big long beards and everything there. But it was a really nice, classy pub, great big one on the corner, just cars outside it used to be. And you'd go into this pub, and then, great big pub, it's a lovely bar. And then you could walk through, a bit later on, they had like a great big lounge. And they had live music, live groups on, and you could dance and everything. It was enormous. So we actually, me and Linda, his name was Linda, we went. So we were sitting in a bar, first of all, and we just got a couple of drinks, and then we were sitting down. In fact, we were at a table in the corner, and the bar was over there. And Linda was sitting where you are, actually, and I was sitting here. And then Linda said to me, all of a sudden, "Oh, Irene," she said, "there's two gorgeous looking blokes just walked in here." And I said, "Oh, where?" She said, don't look, they're staring at us." So you didn't look.
And you looked.
Yeah, I know. And this was in the time when people always wore suits.
Yeah.
You know, they wore suits to go out. They never wore T-shirts. Sorry, not like you. You know what I mean?
Styles change. What can I say?
No, I know. In those days, I mean, especially Mick would never go out with a T-shirt or anything on. He always wore a suit.
I've seen pictures with him in a suit,
Yeah.
with the mustaches.
Yeah. And he had a little hand thing in his pocket, little hanky. He used to have his suits all made. Even when he was working, he never wore jeans or anything. He used to wear old suit trousers to go to work. Anyway, walked in, and I thought it's gorgeous. And it was like the 60s, so they both had like moustache, similar to, sometimes Mick used to have a Mexican, and that's when I really liked it. But sometimes he used to grow it and then have sideburns. Well, they both had it. Anyway, I thought, oh, really nice. And they were just staring at us. They got to the bar and they were looking over like that, chatting and talking. And I knew they were looking, so I thought, well, if I'll turn my head that way, because I always thought I looked nicer from the side. Why? God knows, I don't know. I've got a horrible profile. So instead of looking like this straight ahead or like that at them, I was going like that. I know they're looking, going, no, they're looking. Anyway, the next thing Linda said, "They're coming over." They came over and they said, "Would you young ladies like to have a drink?" So he said, "Oh, yes, please." I said, "Can I have a cherry bean cider, please?" And I don't know what Linda said, so she had one. So they went to the bar and got us our drinks. Then they came back and sat with us. And then we chatted. I was with Mick, Michael, and Linda was with John. Mick was the nicest. He was really good. John was a bit fat, really, for me. You know.
That's not very politically correct.
Yeah, but Mick was really,
Yeah.
really, really nice. They were both nice looking, but Mick he looked more like an actor or something really, like a film star. And then they sat down, bought us our drinks, and chatting away, got on really, really well. And then Mick said, "Should we go and listen to the group now?" So Lynn said, "Oh, yeah, of course, yeah." So we all went and were dancing and everything. And then we stayed with them to the end of the night. And then Mick drove us home, dropped Linda off, then dropped me off because she lived in Neston. I lived in Little Neston. And Mick drove. But as when he got to the car, he opened the car doors. He's very, very gentlemanly. He was, can't say he was like a rough man. Never, ever. Never.
So he didn't give you that impression that he was
No,
very...
he was never rough. Never. He would never swear in front of me. He spoke nicely. He opened the car door. And then when I got in, he shut the door. And he did the same for Linda. He opened the back door for her. Not the back door of the car.
Yeah.
Took us home. He just had a little kiss. And then he phoned me the following day and said, "Would you like to meet up again?" And then he said, "John's actually meeting Linda as well." So we went out in a foursome again. So that's what we used to do. We used to go out in a foursome. John, Mick, me and Linda. And then one day we used to go to all the latest trendy pubs. It was really, really good. But we were always on a foursome sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we got on so well. And then one day Mick took me, I don't think Linda and John, it was like a date of our own. He took me to a place in Ellesmere Port. I can't really remember of it. Can't remember the name of it. Oh, it's awful. I always forget the name.
It's all right.
This great big club it was in Ellesmere Port. Really great big club. It's on the tip of my tongue, can't remember, sorry. But anyway, we went in there and it was lovely. And we were dancing and everything. And then at one point, this dead loud music came on. I can't remember what the song was called. But Mick said, "Come on, Irene." But I got up with him to dance, but he got on the floor. It's like on all four. No, it's like
on all fours on the floor.
Sort of, yeah. But with his legs his arms supporting him, and he was doing all this kicking here, doing that, and going round and round in circles. It was absolutely amazing, and he was so good. Everybody that was in the club just stopped, and they all made a circle round him, watching him.
Wow!
I mean, I don't know how he did it. I mean, it was just, it was absolutely amazing. And I think he actually invented breakdancing because years after that, people started to do this sort of dance that Mick used to do. And I thought, oh, that's just like what Mick used to do. Mick was invented it. Sorry, not the table then.
So I just wanted to ask you also, like, did he had any hobbies? Did he like going to the movies? Did he like music? Obviously, he's a very talented painter.
Music. We loved all the songs then, pop song, all the pop songs. We used to love it. Hobbies. What did he used to do? I don't think he actually had any hobbies at the time. Not that I can remember, because we had Micah's son as well. So, we when he was always working. I mean, he was he used to climb up these great big. He was an industrial painter, so all these big tanks, and gas stations and things. Big tanks with the ladders right up them. He used to go up and paint them all. And do all that. But we didn't really have that much time any of the weekend. But I do know that we always used to take Mike out. He always used to love pushing Mike in the pram. We used to go for these long walks, and we lived in Great Sutton. And we used to go and see Mum and Dad, who lived in Little Ness, and we could walk sometimes, but it was a long, long walk. It used to take about 2 hours, which we loved doing. But we'd go through this really posh, dead posh little village. And there's only about 6 houses, but they're like great big mansions, proper mansions with big high walls. And we'd be walking past, and Mick be pushing the pram, and he'd stop. And he'd say, "Oh, just hold on, he said, "I'm just going to climb up this wall." So, I was dead innocent. So I said, "Oh, yeah, what do you want to climb up the wall for?" He said, "I just want to see if there's any nice bushes, any nice flowers." So he climbed up. and he got right to the top. He was like a monkey. I mean, that's why that job was perfect for him, because he climbed all these heights, didn't bother him.
Yeah.
He could actually swing up there, with one arm and do it. And I used to just stand there with my coat in the pram, and then he'd go, "Oh, Irene," he said, "there's a beautiful pink bush there. It's got the most enormous pink flowers on. It's gorgeous. And there's another one there, and wherever." So I thought he was just admiring the garden. And it's only years after that I thought he's probably bloody getting up there to see if he could burgle them or something, because I didn't know anything about that sort of his life. He
didn't share that with you?
No. He didn't want me to know anything like that at all.
Well, he was trying to protect you, I suppose.
Yeah, he was very, very protective. Yeah, very, 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 very.
He was also jealous, I believe.
He was
also jealous, I believe. From,
he did.
From the stories that I've heard that you were telling,
I remember we used to walk from our house. We had a car, but when we used to go out for a drink and that, he never drove. But it wasn't like drink driving in those days anyway. But we'd walk along this road, and he'd pop into this off license or something and get some ciggies, because he always, he bought cigarettes and smoked. So I'd wait outside for him. And then if a car went past with blokes in, which quite often they'd bib, right? And Mick would hear them bibbing and come out as they run out to stop. "Who's that? Who's that? Who's just bibbed you? Do you know him? Do you know him?" And all that. It was really, really possessive. So he used to say, right, he said, "I'm taking you back home now. I'm not having all the men after you." So he took me home, right? And this really bloody annoyed me. He used to take me back home, right? And then he'd go out. As soon as I was at home, he'd go out. He'd go out on his own. So I used to go crazy. So I used to shout. I used to go crazy. I used to shout after him and throw his clothes out of the window and everything. He just didn't like me getting a lot of attention. I mean, he didn't want anyone to. I don't know. He was just so protective. When we used to go to this Chinese restaurant one night, the stairs were sort of out of the restaurant. You had to go they're funny they were like in the back, but there's also a pub that stayed open all night long. But all the sailors used to go. This was in Ellesmere Port. Mick, that's where Mick used to take me, only sometimes. And when I used to go to the loo, he used to stand up at the bottom of the stairs so nobody could go up the stairs while I was up there in the toilet. And I remember one day, I'm blooming hopeless that I'm terrible at locking doors or opening doors. I push them or pull them the wrong way. I mean,
it's
and
a
then
gift.
I think I'm stuck.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Yeah, and I was shouting, "Mick," because I knew he was at the bottom of the stairs. Mick, I'm stuck. Came rushing up and he kicked the door open. But I said, "I'm stuck."
What was your hardest moment when this relationship with Mick was going on? Was there a breaking point or something that was?
What was the worst thing was my worst, really, really worst memory is that day when he went to court and got 7 years, because I didn't really know what was going on.
76, I believe, or am I mistaken?
Pardon?
Was it 1976?
God, I don't know. I don't know what years it was, but it was horrendous. Chester Crown Court. I mean, before then, there was little things. When we were living together and everything, got married, he went to court with John, and he said to me, "Irene," he said, "I've got to go to court today, me and John." And I said, "Court? Why have you got to go to court?" He said, "Oh, it's just something silly. Just something silly. We've got to go." And I just panicked. I just thought, oh, because I remember I was cleaning my teeth, he was cleaning his teeth in the, this was before we got married. It was when we stayed in this flat, this house that we rented before then. And it was awful. It's a nightmare for me. I thought, court, he's got to go to court. I was living on my nerves. He didn't tell me what really went on. He actually thought he was going to go away that day, but he didn't. But he said, "I didn't want to tell you, Irene, because I know you get all panicky and upset and everything." But
and when you find out about it,
but he came home, but he still never told me. He never told me what he actually went to court for. But this day on the 7th, when he got 7 years, he'd gone missing. See, Mick used to go missing. When we were married and had our own house and everything, we had Mike. Every now and again, he'd just disappear. He'd go out. You see, what happened with Mick was the thing was, with this job that he used to do was called piecework. I mean, I don't know if you know if they do piecework now, but you get paid for a job.
Mm-hmm.
And if you finished it early, you still got paid for the money. If it
Okay.
took you all day, you still got the same amount. But Mick worked for a company called Ellis and Perry in Ellesmere Port. They're the industrial painters. And they used to pick him up in the morning and then drop him off. They finished early. But instead of dropping him off at home, they'd drop him off at the, because pubs weren't open all day then, at this place in Little Sutton. It was like a working men's club that was open. You could go there for drinks.
Mm-hmm.
So him and his, his workmates would go there for a few drinks till about 6 o'clock. And then when the pubs opened, they'd go round the pubs. So then he'd come back really, really late, or he wouldn't come back at all. And I'd think, where is he? But you see, he didn't have phones then. He couldn't ring me up. We had no mobile phones. We didn't have a house phone. You had to go to one of those, letter phone box things and whatever. So you just didn't know where he was. So he used to do that quite often.
And there was a moment when he was in prison when you didn't communicate with him for a lot of years, I believe.
Yeah. Well, what happened was he was in prison and everything. Went to prison and everything, and he was writing. But in those days, prison's not quite like it is today. You couldn't have phone calls. You couldn't have. You only had a letter every like 2 or 3 weeks, sort of thing. Visits were once every so long. Nothing at all. Like there's no contact. And Mick always says, even today when he rings me, he says, if we'd have, had lost all that contact when I was inside, we could have still spoken to each other. It would have made a lot of difference, which it would have done. But we didn't have that. So it was just letters, which were very far between, because you weren't allowed. Nothing was at all like this now. God, I've forgotten again. Sorry.
We were talking about the lack of communication and how hard it is for you to communicate with him and letters.
Yeah.
So
well, I used to go and see him with Mike when he was in prison. Not very often, but now and again. We used to go with his mum, or his mum and dad used to take me and that, and it was horrendous. It was horrendous. It was worse than anything in the whole world. If we had Mike with us as well, and when we used to go, Mick was always sitting at the table ready when we walked in, and it's not like now. I mean, they don't. I went to see Mick a few times. After 50 years, wherever, and we got back together again, and they had all kids' rooms, toys for kids.
Very different than it was.
Yeah. And I thought all the prisoners' wives that had kids and that were all playing and everything. And I thought it's nothing like that when I went with Mike. It was a proper prison. It was just like being in a cell, all like red bricks everywhere, and you had like a bench, and that was it. It was like sitting, no windows, nothing at all, nothing nice about it. You just sit in there until you were called to go through into this room. It was horrible. Anyway, I used to take Mike sometimes, but it was horrendous. He used to cry all the time, and then they take him away. You see, he never sat there till we'd gone out. They used to come and take him before we'd left. He had to go before we did, sort of thing, and it was horrendous. Mike used to run after him, "Daddy, Daddy, come!" It was horrible. It was horrendous. Could never go through that again. It was horrendous. Very upsetting. That's why I had to stop going. In the end, I couldn't cope. One point, one of the visits, Mike was sitting on Mick's knee because you were allowed that contact, even though it was that so long ago. And Mick had to get up and go, and Mike wouldn't let go of him. He had his fingers all clasped round. He wouldn't let go. No, Daddy, stay here. Don't go. Don't go. I don't want you to go. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. And Mick couldn't take it. He had to go. There's police. Mick couldn't take his fingers off him. So it was up to me to try and prise Mike's hand up. Say, no, Daddy's got to go back to work now. I used to say that. Daddy's got to go back to work. Michael, stop it. You got to let go, let go. And it was horrendous for me, and it was horrendous for Mick. And then Mick wrote and said, look, Irene, he said, it's not, this isn't good for me. It's not good for you and Mike. It's horrendous. It's too upsetting. You're not coping. I'm not coping with this. He said, and to be honest, I don't think I'm ever going to get out of here. He said, all I can do is just say, you divorce me, because I'm never going to get out. But this was at the point when he'd actually lost all his remission through all these letters he used to write to me. Every now and again, I always used to think, is it a good letter or is it a bad letter? A good letter was saying how much he loved us. A bad letter was saying, sorry, Irene, I'm never going to get out of here. I've lost so much remission. For some bloke came up to me, somebody stabbed me with this, somebody did this, and that. And I retaliated, and I had to go to the VC, visiting court. So he lost more and more remission. And then in the end, he lost all his remission because the people he did that little job with, he got £7. It wasn't his job. It was these 3 older men. They'd planned it all and everything. And they asked Mick and John if they'd go with him. But John said no. But stupidly, Mick went. And it was Mick that got 7 years. I know the others got 3 or something. But they all got out. They're out after 3 years. Mick is still in there. I'm lost again now.
No, it's really, like you said, it's horrendous. And like the saddest part of the whole story about Mick, about Charles Bronson, is that how much time is lost. How much time is lost not being able to hug your son, his son, and to be next to
It's
you.
affected our son, Michael.
Yes.
We called him Michael. It's the split image of his dad. It has affected him a lot, because not only that he couldn't see his dad anymore or anything like that, but his dad was always in the media. Do you know what I mean? It's not, even with me, like an ex-husband, you don't bother about them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You get divorced, it's over and done with. But Mick was always in the paper or on the television, or everybody was talking about it, and it was always in our face and Mike's face. And I remember I used to go to mum and dad's on a Saturday, because I remarried and had 2 more children. But Saturday was my free day, so I used to go on my bike to see my mum and dad. And mum used to, because I was a baby, so they used to spoil me. And every time I went to get the paper, because dad had them delivered, there was always pages missing. And I used to say, Dad, I said, why is this page missing? Every bloody Saturday, there's always something missing. And I couldn't understand why there's pages missing. And Dad said, oh, you know what? It's that silly paper boy. He starts reading the paper before he drops it off, and he loses all the flipping pages. And I thought that's what he did. God, bloody so innocent. And then I only realised when Mike was about 8, 9, he started to read the papers, that I was going through all the papers beforehand and taking anything out to do with Mick, so Mike wouldn't see it. And it's then that I realised that my dad would die. So I couldn't say anything to my dad then, but I was doing the same thing. It was horrendous.
Tell me more about the book, like where the idea came from. Miss Julie Shaw probably contacted you. Or you contacted
Julie Shaw is an author, very good author. But my daughter actually said to me, I wanted to do my story, because everybody, I go to where everybody's, oh, tell me this, tell me that about Charlie, tell me this, how did you do this, what happened, why has he done this? And everybody that gets to know who I am, they all ask me all these questions. They want to know everything, and you can't just say, oh yes, we did this or we did that. They want to know everything that goes on. And I used to go out every Friday when I was with my second husband with my friends to Chester, and people used to just, how, I don't know, they used to just know that I used to be married to Charles Bronson, and they'd come up and ask me for my autograph, I'd write it and say, oh, I'm famous, on that.
I'm going to ask for the autograph later.
Yeah. It was really weird. It was really weird. I mean, I'm not from Chester, don't know how. They just, regular face sort of thing in Chester. And everybody knew who was, and you could hear them saying, she's been married to Charles Bronson, and the bloke said, oh, I'm so glad to meet you, and drinks and everything. It was weird. And then I was offered to do there's 2 documentaries. The one I told you about, the very violent one,
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that was Channel 5. It was really vicious. Saw him being beaten up really badly and everything. And I remember I went to Tesco's in Heswell the following day, and complete strangers, men, were coming up to me saying, do you know what? My opinion's changed completely, about Charles, they called him Bronson,
Yeah.
about Bronson. I mean, now I know the truth. My opinion's changed completely about him, on
Well,
the rule.
he's, in my opinion, and that's why a lot of people like him and support him, because he's the modern symbol of the unbreakable spirit.
He
He's
is, yeah.
the unbreakable spirit
He's
against the
supposed to be
system.
immortal.
Yeah, and he's the ultimate individual, in the individual fighting the system, like surviving it almost.
Yeah.
And that's why, obviously, the movie with Tom Hardy, which you said you don't really like, but the movie with Tom Hardy made him famous
Yeah.
across the world.
But how he's managed all these years, I don't know. Because of his treatment, he's been tortured and tortured and tortured and tortured. So much has gone on. It's horrendous. You would know half the story that goes on. They actually once put him in a straitjacket, and kept him in this. It was a little tiny dark cell anyway, which is dead small. And then they had like another cell inside. It wasn't a cell though. It was a cage. If you put an animal in or something, but it wasn't. He couldn't walk. It was just about his height and about like that.
Wow.
And they had him in a straitjacket as well. So he's inside this, and then they'd all go up to him and pull all his moustache out, his whiskers out, and his beard whiskers out one by one. He had blood running down his face. That was they've done loads of stuff to him. It's horrendous, horrendous. But they keep him in the dark. They don't put him in a normal cell,
Wow.
and that's why his eyes are
I'm
really bad.
speechless. I don't know what to say after this,
I
because
know.
this is not a human.
That's why his eyes. He's got these. The papers say, yeah, oh, he's got these. We paid for Charles Bronson's designer glasses. He's in there because the prison have. He used to have dark brown eyes. His eyes are white now. The colour of his eyes are very, very pale grey. You wouldn't believe that, because of all the time he's been in prison in the dark. He can't see when he goes out in proper day. Well, he doesn't go out in proper daylight. He has an hour a day, even that, and it's undercover. It's just horrendous. But that's why he has to work. If they bring him into a room that's got light on, he can't see, because they've kept him in the dark for years and years and years. There's one prison governor that hated him so much, bloody hated him. He used to taunt him outside the cell door. "I've got you now, Mick. I've got you now, Mick," he used to say. And when he was removed from that prison, he had about 10 mailbags full, because that governor withheld all his rights, everything, never gave him any mail, nothing at all. Just made them throw his food through the cell. It was like ridiculous, horrendous. How he survived, I
It's
don't
even
know.
hard to believe that this is happening in a
You wouldn't know what's went
prison
on.
in a Western European country.
He's not had. People say, "Oh, like Bear just probably go to proper prisons," but Mick's not. He's never been like that, because he's retaliated. They want to. I don't know. They just throw him out. Disgusting.
Mr. Engineer.
Can I just also say something else? I mean, there's been times when, like, Mick's lost all his family except for his mum now, and his son, of course, Mike. But his brother was dying, and his dad was died, and they said Mick could go to the funeral of his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so they let him get a suit in. Somebody took a suit in. So that morning of the funeral, he was all dressed up in his cell, waiting to go to his dad's funeral. And then one of the officers came in and said, "Oh, what are you all dressed up for?" And he said, "We're going to my dad's funeral." "Oh, we've changed our minds. You're not going." So he kicked off. Wouldn't you kick off? He kicked off, and then the papers reported it. Not the proper reason why he's kicked off. "Oh, Charles Bronson's kicked off and he attacked a police officer again." This is what happens.
There are a lot of journalists I notice out there that are not. They are very biased
Well,
in.
they are because they don't know the truth.
They don't even care about the truth. They just
No.
want a scapegoat and
Well, they think because he's in so long, even complete strangers come up to me. He's a murderer, isn't he? I'm thinking because he's in there for so long, he's not a murderer at all. I don't know if they're getting him mixed up with Charles Manson or what, but he's not murdered anyone. But they think he must be because of what the media is saying about him.
yeah.
It's all lies. I mean, they're not going to put something good about him. Because who's going to buy that paper? And people don't want good news. They want vicious news. Could I also just say sorry for interrupting him wherever?
No, no,
So to go on and on and on. You never had a
that
chance to
that's good.
speak.
That's why you're here.
But one of the prison governors, I don't think it was this horrible one. I can't remember which prison that was moved from. But it was another prison officers or something. Oh yeah, it was prison governor. And he accused Mick of attacking him. And the prison officer said he attacked him, right? And Mick wrote to me and said, Irene, he said, I never did it. I never did it. They're just making it all up. They're just making it all up. And he said, I've got to go to court about it because Mick said, I'm not going to plead guilty to doing something I haven't bloody done. So he actually went to court, right? He had a jury. Is it 12 or 13 men and women? A jury,
I think it's 12
or 13? Yeah, mixed men and women. And he went to the court that morning. It was a closed, no other spectators there, just the jury, the judge, and all these prison officers that accused Mick of attacking this governor or something. And Mick, they wouldn't even let him put a suit on. He had his green overall on, his prison uniform. And when he walked in, the judge said, "Oh, you just apologised to the jury." He said, "I'm sorry about Mr. Salvador's attire. The prison obviously haven't let him change." As if he was on their side,
Yeah.
as if he was on Mick's side. And then Mick spoke. He didn't have a lawyer. Oh, the governor spoke. The other, oh yes, he definitely did it. They swore that he'd attacked, tried to attack the governor and everything like that. And Mick spoke for himself, and he spoke to the jury, and he said, "I didn't do it." And he just, what's the word when there's sister speaks for you?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but he spoke for himself.
English is not my first language.
Yeah,
so,
but he spoke for himself. And do you know what? They found, every one of them found him not guilty.
Yeah.
Not guilty. And there was a little thing in the paper after that, about a week after that. And it wasn't in headlines, it wasn't in any of the pages that you normally see, the first pages full size, nothing like that. It was like nearly at the end, there was a little column about 2 inches across, and that way, Charles Bronson found not guilty in court of thingy. That was all. Nobody would have seen it.
Yeah. When somebody's found not guilty, I guess it's not very interesting
jury,
to the public.
All 12 of them found him not guilty straight away.
How long are we talking? 48 minutes. Okay.
48 minutes.
Yeah, well, let's finish like this, Irene.
Yeah.
Let's Are you in a communication with Mick at the moment? Are you
With Mick?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we had a bit of a row, silly row really, because he had a big art exhibition in London. When he has them quite often. And a friend of his, an actor, let me stay there in the room. But then my granddaughter wanted to come, who was 18. She wanted to come. So I asked Mick if she could come as well, and he said yes. And then somebody else wanted to come as well. I said, but it was a big 3-bedroomed. The bed was like from there to there. It was called, I think it's one of them hotels that they have group sex and stuff in. It was
Really?
It was called the Naughty Hotel.
Okay.
Because there was a big bath in our bedroom. I thought, I'm not going to have a bath in front of Phoebe or whatever, with all lights. But it was a lovely, I can't remember what it's called. It was owned by this famous actor. That's terrible.
What's the name of the actor?
Names.
Do you know what's the name of the actor?
Yeah, famous actor. Foreign actor. God.
Not really
the
sure.
hotels in London. What was it called? It's
Mm,
an
we,
old London houses all gone into one. Very
um,
unique hotel.
s-
Oh, I'm terrible. I can't
sorry.
remember blooming
So
names.
let's finish like this. Like, what's the message that you want to send out there to the people who
To Mick. Oh,
to,
to everybody,
to
you mean?
everybody who supports Mick, who want to see him free?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, a lot of people are actually finding out the truth now. This is it. This is why he hasn't got an open parole, because at last time the parole, so many people said yes, he shouldn't be in there, and they're fighting for him. See, public opinion's changed now. They know what's really gone on. They know what's really happened, and they said it's ridiculous. He should be out. Well, he should be.
he definitely should be, and I hope this
You know,
podcast helps
if
at least
he'd
a
have
bit.
murdered about 5 women, he would have been out, God, about 25
Yeah,
years, 30 years ago. They let terrorists out.
yeah.
Um, it's just ridiculous. They should have let him out years and years and years and years ago, but they just don't want him out because he's going to let on about the prison system. Now, it's not just Mick that's been in there for so long. It's never murdered anybody. He said there's loads of people in here and they're retaliated by the brutality. I mean, if you keep somebody caged up in a room and you like a dog and you beat them up constantly, in the end, that animal will retaliate. So next time you walk in the room, they'll attack you. And that's what happens. But there's loads of men in there that haven't done anything worth life. They're in there for life. And it's just in retaliation. It's because of the brutal service that used to go on.
Irene Dunroe, thank you very much for being a
Oh.
guest in this podcast, and I hope
Yeah. Can
Mick
I
is
just
out.
say, Mick should
Very,
be free.
he should be
He is
definitely.
not
Yeah.
a prisoner. He's not a dangerous prisoner. He's a man. He's an artist. He worries about everybody. He sells all his pictures for charities, especially children's charities, and St. John's Hospice, where which has changed into hospice now. Where I had Mike's son, it was a hospital then, but it's changed into there. He should be out. I mean, he doesn't have never heard a bird sing. Never seen the moon at night. It's just ridiculous. He should be out. But buy our book. It's an eye opener.